Here to help you pass the ACE-CPT newest edition 2024. You can't get a refund because you came across Show Up Fitness too late. The belt buckle trainer will help you pass, guaranteed. Even though we have the best certification, I want you to pass this because 90% of textbook trainers quit within the first year, not when you show up. Number one, grab our study guide, $49. It's gonna save you so much time focusing on what you need to pass this test to become a certified personal trainer. Listen to our podcast. We have one online, top performing 3% worldwide within our first year. We're gonna help you pass any certification, more importantly, become a qualified trainer. Shoot us a 5-star rating. We'll let you sit on one of our live calls, part of the Show Up Fitness community. We have daily classes live, also on demand within the app. If you want to become successful, it's all about showing up. Do not read the textbook. Why? I want to read this. Our profession works with our hands. We need to be able to cue, regress, progress, the movement patterns, help clients get their results based on the environment that you're in. Try training someone at 5 o'clock at an equinox, lifetime. That's where Show Up Fitness CPTs go because we're the best trainers in the world and they know how to adapt. A textbook will not teach you that. Do not read this. Focus on the guide. Do focus on the overactive under, also referred to as shortened or lengthened. You need to know page 435. If you do not have the textbook, because you don't need it, you'll be perfectly fine by focusing on these overactive muscles. Starting at the most superior is going to be your upper trapezius, pectoralis major. Underneath the pec major is your pec minor. You can find that by putting your arms straight, bending at the elbows. That's your pec minor. That's called flexion. That's your bicep. It's cold here, so I had to put on a long sleeve shirt. And then we're going to go to the hip flexor, which is going to be your psoas major. You also have your rectus femoris, which is biarticulate. That means it crosses two joints. Hip joint, it flexes. The knee joint, it extends. The rectus femoris is an overactive muscle. We also have our adductor group. Those are overactive. We want to foam roll and stretch those because if you don't, you will automatically die. So make sure to do as ACE wants you to. When you take the test, you put the ACE hat on and you choose the answers that they want. They're going to ask you a question about a client doing an overhead squat assessment and their arms fall forward. Which of the following muscles are overactive? We're going to say your glutes, your latissimus dorsi, your rhomboid major, and your anterior tibialis. All I heard right there was red, black, red, red. What's the misfit? The misfit in that case example, the overactive latissimus dorsi. Also the teres major, its little brother right above, which is superior. Below is inferior. Going away is lateral. Going in, medial. That's the orientation, the basic terminology that you need to be successful, not for your clients. Your clients don't give a shit about something that's medial or lateral, but they want to know that you can articulate with medical professionals. So when I reach out to a doctor, a surgeon, a physician, all the same, or a physical therapist, and they tell me don't do this because of a contraindication, avoid lateral medial. And if you're like, what is that? That professional is not going to refer you clients. Listen to a podcast that we recently did with a doctorate of physical therapist, and we're making fun of lower cross syndrome, pes planus, upper cross syndrome. That stuff is outdated. If you use that with a physical therapist, quote unquote, I would not refer you any clients. If you're like us at Show Up Fitness, we have the most elite gyms in the world. Our trainers charge between $150 to $350 per hour. It's because we can talk this language. You need to know that language, not scare your clients with what's overactive, underactive, but you need to know it for this exam. When you look at the knee, on the posterior lateral side, you have the bicep femoris. That's overactive. The lateral gastrocnemius. Bam! Look at that sucker right there. The soleus as well, overactive. And now we have the underactive muscles. We want to strengthen those with a slow and controlled tempo. Starting with the most superior. The underactive muscles will be your deep cervical flexors. They're going to flex the cervical region. Cervical, thoracic is the mid part, lumbar is the lower part. And then when we go into other underactive muscles, the serratus anterior, the boxer's muscle, we have the deep core abdominal muscles, also referred to as the transverse abdominis. Those are underactive, as is the erector spinae, your lower back. We have medial quad muscles that are underactive, the vastus medialis. Remember the vastus lateralis and the rectus femoris, those are overactive, as are the adductors. Underactive glute max, which is on the posterior side. On the medial side, you have the glute med. Also the glute min, maximus, medius, minimus, those are all underactive. Move down to the calf, we have the anterior, posterior, tibialis, which are underactive muscles. They're gonna say your client is doing an overhead squat or they're doing a squat exercise and they have dynamic knee valgus. Oh my God, you gotta stop them and correct them or they're gonna die. It's fine, push your knees out, push them against my hands. That's how you correct it. But for this textbook, you gotta know adductors will be overactive. Your bicep femoris, overactive. Lateral gastrocnemius, overactive. What's underactive? Medial gastrocnemius, your semimembranosus, semitendinosus, anterior tibialis, gluteus maximus. Choose that, move on, get over the test because you can't get a refund, but you need to know these overactive, underactive muscles. We teach an anatomy class every Friday, 12 o'clock California time. You can get onto that call, ask an instructor, can you help me better understand anatomy? And we will teach you the muscles that are stereotypically overactive, stereotypically underactive. Do not memorize anything outside of the overactive, underactive muscles. You don't need to know origin, insertion, actions. The gluteus maximus extends in the sagittal plane, abducts in the frontal plane, the upper fibers externally rotate, and then a posterior tilt. Bam! Show me your belt buckle. Bam! Bam! That's a posterior tilt. That's what the gluteus maximus knows. That's what we teach you at Show Up Fitness. That's how you're going to become qualified, but you don't need to know it for this exam, so don't fret over anatomy. Chapters 9 through 11 are going to go through the assessment process according to ACE, as well as the IFT module, Integrated Fitness Training. You need to know everything for cardio. You need to know everything for resistance training. If a client were to be doing 8 to 15 reps, where does that go within the IFT model? If a client's going to be doing something that's stable, where does that go? It's referred to as functional in the IFT model. You need to know which exercises are functional. A bird dog. As a trainer, you may do a bird dog with an advanced athlete. You can't think like that on this exam. Don't think, well, I would do this. No, you have to think, what does ACE want you to answer? I have no affiliation with ACE, NASM, ISA, any of these companies. I've taught trainers for over 10 years. I worked at a school. This stuff is super simple when you focus on what they want. I don't have special answers. I just know how these testing companies, these marketing companies are going to quiz you. They want you to pass. They will make more money if you pass because then you're going to get a specialization. I'm a corrective exercise specialist. No, you fucking aren't. You don't understand anything about the human body. You understand your body. That's the big difference. Qualified trainers understand the human body. Average trainers who quit within the first year understand their body and they go out there and hurt people. How do you expect to actually learn how to help people reading a textbook? Well, I'm going to get a job and start training people. Are you absolutely ludicrous? Imagine any other profession out there. I just read a textbook and now I'm going to start cutting hair. Fuck you are, get away from me. I have shitty hair, but I don't want you to screw it up even worse. Doctor, yeah, I just got my medical degree. Who wants to let me do heart surgery? What? No, there's procedures that you go through. You get guided supervision. You show up to one of our internships in San Diego, Los Angeles, our weekend seminars. We have partnerships with all 170 Lifetime Fitnesses, elite gyms, as do we do with Equinox. We have calls every week with professionals from these great companies helping you become successful. What to put on your resume, how to do the interview process. You don't learn that in a textbook. I get so frustrated with our industry because it's 2024. I've been doing this for over 20 years and it's the same shit. You want to help people. A textbook's not going to fucking do that. But you think it is. I'm going to delete this, move on to someone who makes me feel nice and fluffy inside because I really am going to help people by scaring what's overactive and underactive. No, you aren't. Focus on this video. That's all you need. You need the study guide. You need to know overactive, underactive stuff. You need to know what they want for the IFT model and the assessment. Do not spend more than 30 days reviewing this. I get people reaching out to me all the time. I put this on the back burner. I've been wanting to become a trainer for 2 years. I'm so frustrated with the textbook. Go and get hands-on learning. 1 month, you'll learn more than any textbook out there. Online with us, 2 weeks, we have a complimentary free access to our material. You'll learn more than any textbook out there. But you have this sunk cost fallacy. You feel like you have to do it because you can't get a refund. Take the test. Worst case, you fail. You now have an idea like, wow, I'm a smart person. That test, would it actually qualify me to start helping people who have shoulder injuries, knee issues, that don't know how to deadlift or squat? No. So use your common sense and be like, I should actually learn from people who have gyms. Interesting. Who have trainers that have been doing it for numerous years. Shadowing a session. The more time you waste studying a textbook, you're losing out on opportunities to build your confidence in your career capital. It's exactly what you need. You need to focus on the trade skills, which is learning in the environment by doing it, hands-on learning. Business skills, how to grow 3 streams of revenue. If you're that trainer that's working 50 hours a week, sure, you could be making 8, 10, 12 grand a month, but what happens when you get sick? What happens when you burn out? You make 0 money. You need to learn to develop those streams of revenue, all things that we teach you at Show Up Fitness. How are your people skills? The average trainer closes at 25%. 25%, I don't want to be a salesman. I love sales. Why? Because I can help you move better, feel better, get a promotion at work, have a better sex life, find a significant other. These are all things that we're going to give our clients by helping them move properly. We build their confidence. The average trainer closes at 25% because they're thinking about their own bank account. Oh, $100 a session, that's a lot. I charge $350. And our clients here pay that and they don't even blink. It's because I'm confident. You need to have confidence to present your price. Look at your client in the eye and they say, that's too expensive. Interesting. You said you want A, B, C, and D. I just gave you that solution. Let's talk more about that. And you smile. I've never had those objections. People will talk about, it's too much money. I don't have enough time. My significant other. It's confidence of the professional and how they deliver it. Do you have a team? Physical therapists, RDs, professors, doctors? No, we do. That's what sets us apart from the average industry. If you want to be elite, you need to surround yourself with the best. These textbooks will not do that. So get through it as quickly as you can. We've helped people do it in 3 days. Then you can move on to becoming a successful personal trainer. One of the few things I like about the ACE textbook is they teach you about the ACSM, American College of Sports Medicine. One certification that is actually legitimate. They teach you the coronary artery disease risk stratification. So if the question were to ask you, a client has a blood pressure of 145/95, would you be able to train them? They're going to give you 4 answers. That's hypertension. According to the ACSM risk stratifications, you could train them if they have less than 1 risk factor. If they have a high risk stratification because they have a sign or symptom of coronary artery disease, respiratory disease or pulmonary disease, metabolic disease, then you cannot train them. A sign or symptom. If a client comes in and they smoke, no biggie, it's not optimal, but you need to know that for the exam within the last 6 months. If they've smoked, that's a risk factor. If a client comes in with shortness of breath for no apparent reason, that's a sign or symptom. I'm not going to train them. Trainers kill people. You can look up ACSM negligence issues, where trainers have killed clients because they read a fucking textbook. What do you expect? You don't know what you're doing. You understand what you do, bench press and pull-ups and burpees and renegade fucking rows. But your clients don't need to be doing that, and they shouldn't be doing that. They need to be learning regressed movements. You build that foundation, you get them stronger, and then you get them powerful. And that's how they're going to progress overload. And so the ACSM is really great with recognizing during the assessment, so it kind of goes hand in hand with the assessment, of what you can and cannot do. What is tachycardia? Having a resting heart rate of 100 or more. Can you train someone? No. If you take someone's blood pressure and it's 160/100, I can still train them. But if they have tachycardia, I cannot. If they have ankylodemia, these are all things that you cannot train. It's referred to as a contraindication. You need medical clearance from a medical professional. Do not get other quizzes or go through the online portal learning about everything in the textbook. It's not going to set you up for success. It's going to overwhelm you because you got a 6 out of 10 of worthless information that's not going to be tested on, and your psyche is going to be fucked. So you have to understand what you're going to be tested on and focus on that. That's why we have this dues. Do not do other quizzes, other YouTube pages, people telling you all this stuff that you need to know in the textbook. Focus on the main part so you can pass. You don't want 100%. You want exactly a 70 so you can move on, gain that hands-on supervision, and get into an environment where you can be successful. Number 5, you need to know the patterns that they're going to test you on. A bend and lift. What is the agonist? What's the agonist at the hip? What's the agonist at the knee? Agonist means prime mover. When you push, the prime mover will be your pec major. When you push at the elbow, the synergist, it helps out the prime mover, which would be your humerus, in the transverse plane, horizontal adduction, your pec major. The triceps would be the synergist. Stabilizer would be your rotator cuff. Antagonist is opposite. Romeo and Juliet, who are the antagonists? It's the bad families. The Montagues and the Capulets, I believe. They're the bad people. Romeo and Juliet, they're the agonist. Protagonist was what they talk about it in art and film. So the agonist is the main mover. The antagonist is the opposite. Main mover here, agonist. The opposite would be pulling with a pronated grip in the transverse plane, posterior deltoid. The antagonist, when I stand up, would be my psoas major or a hip flexor. They're used interchangeably. The agonist would be my glutes. The synergist, according to ACE, is your hamstrings, which technically it's not the correct answer. It would be your adductor magnus. But you need to know for the exam, it's your hamstrings. Your hamstrings technically don't move when you squat because they're the antagonist at the knee because the quads are extending at the knee. Sagittal exercise. You need to know the patterns, the planes of motion that they're in, and the main movers for all of those patterns. A hinge, which is a bend and lift, or a squat, a single leg lift. Know the agonists, synergists, and stabilizers. Last but not least, don't waste time on the crazy science. It's super important to know the biochemistry, the nutrition, but they're not going to be asking that stuff within the exam. They want you to pass it ASAP so you can go out there and get the next specialization. They're not going to be asking about the myofibrils and the cross-bridge attachments. That's too complex. They want you to pass, make it hard enough so you did a little bit of reading, but remember, you don't need to. Focus on the guide, the podcast. We're going to tell you what you need to pass this, and when you do pass it, you're going to want to take that photo. I'm certified, but in your head, you're like, what the fuck do I do next? That's where we come in, because we can help you build that confidence, get out there, and help people safely get their goals. And remember, most importantly, keep showing up.